500 days. When was the last time you did something for 500 consecutive days? Now, I'm not talking about brushing your teeth, because I'm going to hope everybody in here brushes their teeth. I'm not talking about checking your social media or your email or sipping on your favorite latte or coffee. I'm talking about something that you love, that is your passion, maybe even your calling. For me, that was giving. I gave a gift every day for 522 consecutive days, and that journey changed my life. Unfortunately, on day 523, I was on a business trip. I was in the office way too late, went out for a late dinner. I got back to the hotel. I was in the lobby typing on my computer, and I looked down and it said 12:18 a.m. And I screamed in the lobby, "Oh no, I didn't give a gift for the day." My boss, trying to make me feel better, said, "Oh yeah, you gave a gift for the day. You were kind this evening to the waiter." Which she was right. I was kind. But my journey wasn't about being kind. It was about being intentional. Me, one person, looking for a way, one time, each and every day, to intentionally give to another person. So what was my definition of giving? It was very simple. It was to give and expect nothing in return. At the very basic level, I could walk out of here and just say, I'm going to smile at every stranger I pass and not expect them to smile back. Or I could send a wedding gift and not expect that handwritten thank you note. So, what were some of the gifts that I gave on my journey? My husband's an Indiana State Trooper, and tragically, we've had 3 friends killed in the line of duty: Scott Patrick, Gary Dudley, and Bruce Sutton. And so over those 522 days, every time a law enforcement officer was killed in the line of duty, I wrote letters or sent a card to their family member. On a random day, not a holiday, I gave a box of chocolates to the UPS guy. I bailed a friend out of jail, which may have been my most interesting gift. And I baked and decorated cupcakes for the boys next door. And what I learned on my journey is there were hundreds, if not thousands, of ways to give. So, if you want to go on your own journey, there's 3 things you have to do. Number 1 is you have to wake up in the morning and declare, I'm going to give a gift for today. Number 2 is you have to look for opportunities. See, they're all around us, but if we don't look for them, we don't see them. And number 3, and this is the most important, is you have to initiate action. It does you no good to see somebody in need, see, something that you should do, and then you do nothing and you walk away. I'll give you an example. One day I took a bus from Indiana to Chicago Midway Airport, and I got off the bus, and there was a lady with a baby strapped to her. She had all these bags and baby stuff, and I just approached her and said, "Do you need some help?" And she said yes, so I helped her. I got her in where she was checking her luggage, and we parted ways. But after she checked in her luggage, I noticed she still looked confused, lost. Like, where do I even go to get to security? And so at this time, I'm thinking, what do they, blast over the announcements is don't touch other people's bags, stay with your bags. And so I approach her and I say, "May I help you?" And she says, "Are you a human trafficker?" And I had to laugh because I was hoping she wasn't a drug dealer having drugs in her bag, and here she thought I might be a human trafficker. I said, "No, I'm not a human trafficker." And she said, "I'm so sorry. I just saw a story on the news about that." Well, anyways, I got her through security just fine. I walked her to her gate. She was flying standby, and so I took her up to the gate agent, and the gate agent asked her, who's this lady with you? And without missing a beat, she said, "This is my angel, and I love her. I love her." Can you imagine? I was with that lady less than 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and she said, "I love her." We exchanged hugs and not contact information, and as I was walking to my gate, I thought about, wow, that gift may have impacted me more than it did her. And I saw that over and over on my journey, when you expect nothing in return. Now, you might say, "Stephanie, anybody in an airport seeing somebody in need would help them." But would they? Another time I was in a different airport, the airport that has those white rocking chairs. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but I love them. And so I was sitting in one of those white rocking chairs, reading a book, minding my own business. And I noticed out of the corner of my eye, a lady crying, sobbing. And do you ever see somebody in need and you know what you're supposed to do, but you start having this internal debate with yourself, like, should I approach her? What if they get mad? What if they don't want help? And we start making giving and helping people about us instead of just taking action. So I got up the courage and I walked over to her and I asked her, are you okay? Do you need help? She shared with her story. She said, no. And then she just said, ma'am, thank you. And as I was walking back to my chair, a lesson that I learned is sometimes it's just offering. That's the gift of offering. I got back to my chair, and before and after I was seated in that rocking chair, I watched as if hundreds, maybe thousands of people walked by a lady crying in an airport, and not one person stopped to ask if she was okay. Sometime you may be that only person who goes up to help somebody. Now, I'm not perfect. I have missed hundreds, if not thousands, of opportunities to give. One day I was at the Dairy Queen. I'd placed my order, and the young man behind the counter uttered the words, I hate my life. This was my moment to say something inspiring, something encouraging, and yet I stood there awkwardly, acting as if I heard nothing that he said. He brought my order, I snatched it, I got out of there quick as I could, and do you know how I know I missed an opportunity to give? Because I could not stop thinking about that young man and the words that he uttered all the way home. When I got home, I felt so guilty that I pulled up Facebook, did a Facebook Live confessing to all my followers of what I should have said to that young man, and it was something like this. Don't hate your life. Today might be a really bad day, but I've been where you are. I've worked at the Dairy Queen. I understand you work really hard and you don't get paid a lot of money, or that, you get crabby people, but you learn a lot of good skills about working at the Dairy Queen. Customer service skills, people skills. Heck, you get to make people happy by giving them ice cream. And I've been pretty successful in my life, and I would attribute some of my success to the lessons and the skills I learned from working at the Dairy Queen. So don't hate your life. Now, if I am presented with an opportunity where I know I should do something, I think back to that young man who uttered those words, I hate my life. One time, my husband and I were going to Michigan football game. Any Michigan fans in here? Go Blue. And if you know anything about where Michigan plays football, it's the Big House. And it seats over 100,000 people. So I'm going to make the assumption that there are over 100,000 people outside tailgating, mingling around. On this day, I had put out on social media a giving challenge. Give hugs to strangers. Now, I have one rule if you're going to give a hug to a stranger is you don't just run up to them and give them a big bear hug. That may not end up well for you, as you ask their permission first. And so my husband had parked in one of those grassy parking lots. We got out, and as we were walking out, I noticed an older gentleman, and this is a good, simple gift that you can give. He had a black hat on with yellow writing. And I just walked up to him and asked him if he had served in the military, and he said yes, I believe the Marine Corps. And I extended my hand and I said thank you. At that moment, I got the little tug that you feel on your heartstrings, same as I did at the Dairy Queen, but I didn't take action. And this time I just said, may I give you a hug? Gave me a strange look. It happens every time if you ask a stranger if you can give them a hug. And then he said yes. And as we were embracing, he whispered, I needed that today. And I thought, wow, over 100,000 people, and God led me to one man who just needed a hug. Now, I went on to hug a ticket scalper, a police officer who did not want to give me a hug, and two ladies standing in line. And the lesson I learned there is that, you see, some of the most impactful gifts I gave on my journey cost little time, no money, and were to strangers. 6 years after I started that giving journey, I launched out into the world as somebody who hates writing, terrible at grammar, and a dyslexic, a little book called The Giving Challenge, 40 Days to a More Generous Life. You see, I had an inkling that if I could share some of my stories with others, that maybe it would encourage and inspire them to go on their own giving journey. I've been in awe of the emails that I get and the messages that I get of people who say they've been stretched outside of their comfort zone. They've given in ways that they never would have thought about giving before taking the giving challenge. So today, I'm not going to ask you to go on a 522-day giving journey like I did, but I am going to ask you as one person, to commit to 40 days looking for a way each and every day that you can give to someone else. Can you imagine if everybody who heard this talk went on the giving challenge, how our world would change? Could you imagine just if everybody in this room, I'm going to do easy math, 250 people times 40 days, in a little over a month, we would send out 10,000 gifts into the world. So today, I'm challenging you to take my giving challenge, and I can almost guarantee that you will discover a richer, more generous life by making a difference, one gift at a time. Thank you.